Hello and welcome to Drive Park. This is Bharadwaj and that is Maruti Suzuki's first strong hybrid SUV, the Grand Vitara. Yes, Maruti Suzuki has brought back the famous Grand Vitara name in an all-new strong hybrid avatar, and it is also available in various other engine and drivetrain options. I will tell you everything you need to know about this car in this video. Let's get started. So before we move on to the design of the car, let me tell you a few things that you need to know about the Grand Vitara. As you know, the name is back and in an all-new avatar, and Maruti Suzuki has collaborated with Toyota to bring down these cars. Now this is again a collaboration between those brands, and Toyota is offering their strong hybrid engine technology in this, and Maruti is also using their all-grip technology to offer all-wheel drive in this car. And speaking of which, let me speak about the variants. Now the strong hybrid, what you see right here, is available in two variants. That's the Zera Plus and the Alpha Plus. The smart hybrid system, what you have seen already in the Brezza and other Maruti Suzuki cars, is also available in this, and it is available in four variants. The top spec Alpha Plus variant is not available with that engine option. With that being said, let me speak about the price expectations that I have with regards to this. So I am expecting the prices to start at around 15 lakh for the base variant, and going all the way up to 22 lakh for the model that you see here with a strong hybrid powertrain. Now those are expected on-road prices. Now Maruti Suzuki will be revealing the prices shortly for this car. Moving forward to the color options of this car, what you see here is called the Nexa Blue. Now this will be sold in Maruti Suzuki's premium Nexa dealership chain, and it will come with 8 other color options that you can choose from, 6 of which are monotone and 3 of which are dual tone options. Now that we have got that out of the way, let me speak about the design of this car. Now Maruti Suzuki has done a lot of justice to what the trend is currently right now. They have given a lot of chrome on the front. You get a huge chrome bar and you get a huge logo, Suzuki's logo in chrome, finished in chrome. Now this chrome I feel is a little bit darkened out on this variant, but other variants that are present on this car will get the real shiny glossy chrome that you often see on other cars. And also this comes with a honeycomb grille, again a piano black finish out there, and you also get a front parking camera. Now this is for the 360-degree camera feature that is there on this car. And down below, the bumper features a dark grey scuff plate. Now these are for skid plates and do not have much functionality in it, but you do get for a styling element. And moving on to the lighting of this car, you get to see split headlamp setup that you often see on the SUVs. The main headlamps are placed on the bumper and it is surrounded by a piano black garnish. It is a bifunctional LED projector headlamps, and up top you have the DRLs. Now as you see, they started from the Baleno, they get the 3 signature DRL that Maruti is maintaining. Now these are also bifunctional. They operate as a DRL when indicators are not in use, but they turn into the turn signal indicators when they are flicked on the stock. So those are all the features. And finally, this hood line that you see right here is for the most muscular stance that creates up front. You get 2 strong hood lines, and which gives it a more character and a butch look for this Grand Vitara SUV. Now we move on to the side profile, and starting with the side profile, you get to see a 17-inch dual tone alloy wheels. Now these alloy wheels are shod with 215 by 60 tire profile. Now these are just on-road tires. These are not dual terrain of any sort. Has decent grip. I will tell you a little bit on that later in the video when I'm driving. And also you can see that from the side profile, Maruti has made one of the most interesting choices that I can come across in modern day cars. They have given a glossy black finished all-round body cladding. Now I'm not sure how this is going to be turned out, because as you can see, these body claddings go through a lot of rough and tough with everyday use. You get stone chips and all that, so this will be definitely very hard to maintain in terms of being a glossy black finish. However, it does look good and it does feel premium. But the lower variants do get a matte finish regular body cladding that we are so used to seeing on the SUVs. And ORVMs are finished in a body color with integrated indicator, and also there is a camera on either side of the mirror for the 360-degree feature. And the window line, the bottom side of the window line at least, is finished in brushed aluminium to give that rich look. Now complementing that is the silver roof rails and the blacked out B pillar that certainly makes the SUV look more muscular, and also a strong shoulder line that runs from the headlight to the tail light, which also gives it a butch and SUV-ish look. Now those are all the elements that are on the side profile. Interesting thing that Maruti or even Toyota has done is give it that dark chrome element on the D pillar. Now this does not have a sloping roofline, the roofline is flat, but as you can see, the design has been made such a way that it creates a sloping roofline effect or a floating roof effect. Certainly looks very good on the side profile, and kudos to Maruti or even Toyota for that fact. Now we move on to the rear profile and let us see what are the features there. So now we are at the rear profile of the Grand Vitara, and as you can see, the highlight of this design has to be this long LED light bar that spans across the length of the boot, and also it combines with the LED tail lamp placed on the either side. There are 3 positioned lamps right here for the LED, and the middle bit also lights up. Certainly it is a looker when looked at it from the back, especially at night times. Also you get Grand Vitara badging again spread across. Now this is a trend most auto manufacturers are following. You get a Suzuki logo, and you get a camera right here, and you get a dual tone bumper with again a dark grey finish for the skid plate. You get rear parking sensors, you get an integrated roof spoiler and a shark fin antenna with a third stop lamp placed right here. Now those are all the features. Also one more thing that I need to point out is the hybrid badge right here, but on the smart hybrid you get a smart hybrid badge that you're so used to seeing on other Maruti cars, and here if you are running a all-wheel drive you get a all grip badge placed right here on the boot lid. Now that is about the boot lid and the badging. Now to access the boot you have a couple of ways. Actually you have 2 ways only. One through key fob, so you'll have to unlock it and directly come press the request sensor that is placed next to the rear view camera. If you are not able to reach out to your key, there is another unlock sensor right here next to the request sensor. You have to press that first, and then you can open the boot again. So in that case you do not need to take out your key fob to open the boot itself. Now opening the boot, this being a strong hybrid variant, eats up a little boot space from the standard version because the battery pack is placed right at the boot, and this particular model offers somewhere around 250 liters of boot space. Now the regular version, the non-hybrid version or the smart hybrid version will offer a boot space of around 300 liters. So a battery pack robs around 50 liters of boot space from this car. And as you can see, we are fully packed, but we have loaded almost 6 to 7 bags right here. Decent enough boot space. You also get this tray that you split because right here is the battery pack, and it creates a stepped boot space. So to avoid that, they have introduced this panel so that you get a flat loading floor for the boot space, and also here you get to see some storage space that you can isolate from the boot space. Now that is about the boot. And also finally, if you want to increase the boot space, you also have an option of 60/40 rear split seat. If you are running with lesser passengers, you can certainly use that seat to expand your storage at the back. Now that is about the boot space, and the boot lid is not so heavy. It can be closed very easily. Now it's time to get inside and see what are the features on the inside. Let's go. So now we are sitting inside the all-new Grand Vitara, and there are some things that I would like to point out before we speak about the overall interior looks and design of the car. First is that this car, as I told you earlier, it will be sold on its premium Nexa dealership chain, and this is something that I need a little addressing from Maruti Suzuki. It's a nifty key fob indeed. It certainly looks good, but I would like Maruti Suzuki to work a little bit on the key design and probably make it a little premium for at least the Nexa customers that they will be having. Now let us keep the key fob apart and speak about the interiors. Starting with the interiors that you see right here. This being a top-end model, the Alpha Plus variant, there are certain changes as compared to the other variants of the car. The Alpha Plus variant does feature some copper or probably bronze finish on the dashboard, but the overall layout remains the same. It's just the theme that is changed on the top end model. You get hard plastics at the top and you get soft touch materials right here with a contrasting stitching that certainly looks apart when you sit inside. And the overall layout, as I can tell, it is very familiar Maruti Suzuki cabin. A lot of these features you would have already seen on Maruti Suzuki cars, starting with the center console, which is playing host to a 9-inch infotainment system that you see right here. Now this features Android Auto, Apple CarPlay wireless, and it also features Suzuki's Connect technology that has around 50 plus connected features, where you can remotely control car, track a lot of data. You can remotely switch on or switch off the car, and also enter a cool cabin by remotely switching on the AC and to beat the heat. And with that you also get a lot of data, as I mentioned. It is a well equipped screen, and also the home screen can be customized with some swipes that you can do right here. So you get a fair amount of customization. Now this infotainment system also comes paired with a 6-speaker audio from Arcamus that sounds good. And moving further down on the center console, you get AC vents and also the climate controls right here. Now there is a convenience of hard press buttons right here for the climate control, which I absolutely appreciate. It is very good to have hard set buttons for the climate control rather than the haptic touch feedback that we are so used to seeing on most cars today in India. And also down below you get a single button right here for this variant, where you can switch on or switch off the traction control. Right below that you get a 12-volt socket and a USB port, and below that you get a wireless charging for your smartphone right there. Just behind that you get your gear lever right here. Now this being a strong hybrid variant, it is offered only with a eCVT as standard. And further back you get to see a button cluster right here. Now this being a strong hybrid, you can run this car on EV mode. You can ask the car to forcefully run on EV mode only, or you get to choose from different drive modes right here. You have 3 drive modes: normal, power, and also eco. And below that you have seat ventilation for the 2 occupants sitting at the front. The driver and the co-passenger gets 3 level of adjustment. Now that is a feature which certainly comes in handy, especially to beat the heat. And you get 2 cup holders right here, and you get a center armrest that slides for adjustment. And you also get a cubby hole underneath. Now that is only good for small knickknacks, not much storage space out there. Being said that, let me now concentrate on the driver's cockpit. With driver cockpit you get a familiar layout again. You get a head-up display that you can activate through a button cluster right here. You have to just press and hold on the HUD button, and voila, the screen comes up. You get to choose between different layouts as well. This I've explained in other Maruti cars that I've reviewed earlier, including the Brezza. You can just have a look at that. Here I'm not going to touch upon much about this head-up display, but it certainly functions the same as it is found on the Brezza or even the Baleno in fact. Also below the HUD button you get another button to activate the 360-degree camera features in case if you need while parking at tight spaces. And you also get a starter button right here. Now this is finished in blue, being a strong hybrid variant. And let me come to the steering wheel. Now this is also a familiar steering wheel. Fairly simple steering wheel. You get telephone controls right here. You get controls for your cruise control and to control your infotainment and instrument cluster. And the steering wheel itself is fairly simple. Now just behind that you get to see a 7-inch instrument cluster. Now this is a fully digital instrument cluster. There is a ton of data for the driver to eke out on their car. This being a strong hybrid car, there is a lot of data for the driver to play around with to increase the engine efficiency with respect to the car, and it is very well laid out as well. Now moving on finally to the seats. Now this seat what I'm sitting right here is height adjustable, or everything is manually adjustable, and the steering also gets tilt and telescopic steering so that I can find a very commanding driving position. I have a small niggle with respect to the driving position that I will tell you when I'm driving the car. It certainly is interesting and we have already given a feedback to Maruti regarding that, but I will tell you when I'm driving this car. Now those are all the features that are there in the front. I know I've still not mentioned the huge panoramic sunroof right here, but I'm going to do it at the back where it is even more convenient and where it adds a value even to the rear passengers, which is one of the most interesting topics of this car. So now I'm sitting at the rear seat of the Grand Vitara, and there are some interesting things. Let me start with the most interesting thing, that's the panoramic sunroof. Now what you see right here is a double pane sunroof. Most panoramic sunroofs, only the first pane or the first glass roof that is there, that only comes up, but here you can see that even the glass at the rear also goes back. Now this robs a little bit of a headroom right here, but that is a compromise that we can make because you get to see all the sky, and even the rear passengers get a very good view out of the panoramic sunroof. Now that creates an airy feeling. Now that being said, let me come back to the seat is very well cushioned, I would say, and the perforations are still there, so you perspire less, and which is again a good addition for long journeys. Now 3 people can sit very easily. However, the third person sitting right here will face difficulties in placing the leg because the transmission tunnel juts out a little high up. However, if you're traveling 4, you can certainly deploy the center armrest, and you get 2 additional cup holders as well. And also this seat, what you see right here, is a 2-step reclinable seat. I am on the most reclined position right here, but if I want to not recline or sit a little upright, I can certainly take this lever and I can place it right here. Now that is the first position. Let me make myself a little comfortable and again go back to the second step, reclining right here. So once that is done, I can then adjust the airflow from the rear AC vents that is placed right here. I can also adjust the direction of the airflow as well, but there is no temperature control right there. You have to stay with what the front occupants have chosen. You get 2 USB ports right here, USB Type C and a Type A port. Kudos to Maruti for that. And also you get a small cubby hole to place your phone right there. If you are charging multiple devices, you can certainly use the seat back pockets and place your devices right here while it's being charged. And also you get 3 adjustable headrests. Now these all add to the comfort apart from the reclining seat. Now apart from comfort, you get a lot of safety and also premium right here because this is offered with 6 airbags, so even the rear passengers is protected from the side crash. And also all 3 passengers get a 3-point seat belt right here, so that is something again not seen on most cars. And you get to feel the premiumness right here because the bronze or the copper trim right here on the door also continues, along with the contrast stitching and soft touch materials, where you feel very premium. And especially this gloss black panel also adds to the overall look of the car, and here even the chrome also adds to the richness. So overall it is a very good place to be inside. And finally, speaking about the leg room or the knee room, you get good under thigh support from the seats, you get a good amount of knee room, and you can tuck your legs below the seat and enjoy that leg room as well. So overall the rear passengers will be very comfortable on long journeys and even on shorter ones as well. Now it is time to take this car out for a spin, and let me tell you how this car drives. Now I am sitting at the driver's seat of the Grand Vitara strong hybrid variant. Now this will be the third time that I'll be driving the Grand Vitara, because the previous 2 times I have already driven the all grip, the all-wheel drive variant of the Grand Vitara. Yesterday we took it to some obstacle courses, and that is something that I have to share the experience with. And I have already driven the manual and automatic versions of the mild hybrid car as well. Finally, I'm coming to the top spec model that you see right here. That's the strong hybrid variant. Speaking of which, let's get the power figures out of the way. Now the strong hybrid engine is Toyota's 3-cylinder 1.5 liter engine. This comes with a battery pack and a motor paired to it. The power figures combined is rated at around 121 PS and 144 Newton meters of torque, but if it is only running on engine mode, then it will produce somewhere around 115 PS and 121 Newton meters of torque. Now with that being said, it is much more powerful than the 1.5 liter K series engine from the Maruti, because it continues to produce the same 103 PS of power and 138 Newton meters of torque. Let me talk about the K series first and then come to the strong hybrid engine, because that is an interesting take indeed. I was expecting Maruti to bump up the power figures. Now this is the same feeling that I got when I drove the XL6 as well. The engine is highly tuned towards efficiency and not towards performance, so I was expecting a little bit of performance. As this being an SUV, I wanted a little more performance. I can deal with the undertune on the XL6, that being an MPV, but SUV certainly needs a little more oomph. That is something that the engine lacked. Now that has been done in conjunction to get most mileage out of the car. Apart from that, the engine is free revving. Engine does not have much vibes, and it is as same as what you find on the Brezza, on the XL6, and also even on the Ertiga. It gets a dual jet, dual VVD technology with a micro hybrid technology, with a mild hybrid technology, where you get most fuel efficiency with auto start stop system with an IGS on board. Now that is how the 1.5 liter K series engine performs. Very familiar performance. I would have needed some more power or some more performance from that engine. Now let me come to the strong hybrid engine. I have already reviewed the Toyota Hyryder and I had much to say about that engine as well. It is the same engine that is there on this car. There's no change at all in how the engine performs. It is mostly driven in EV mode. At times only when you're in like hilly areas or you're flooring the pedal, the engine comes on to assist the motor and also to charge the battery. Now that engine is very good, and it is also a very lively engine as well, but it gets noisy at times, so the NVH levels can take a hit at higher revs on that engine. However, speaking about performance, as I mentioned, it is a lively engine and it can give you a burst of acceleration when you need, like right now. And also that engine now has a capability of running purely in EV mode, and you can change to that by pressing a button here, which I showed earlier. And when you do that, the car runs in pure EV mode until the battery gets flat. Once it does, the engine will automatically kick in and start charging the battery and also assisting the motor. Now in the hybrid variant, the front wheels are driven by the engine and the motor paired together. There is no rear wheel drive option. It is a front wheel drive configuration as standard, and it comes paired with the eCVT gearbox that is also from Toyota itself. eCVTs are generally found on hybrid cars, and it is certainly good. The gear shifts are faster. The gear shifts is done very quickly. It is not something that you choose a gear from, as it does not have a typical gearbox. You cannot manually choose the gear, but what you can do manually choose is the different drive modes. It has 3 drive modes: power, eco, and normal. You can choose between these 2 drive modes. Now these only corresponds to the amount of throttle input or the way of regen it happens. So the regen is quite strong on the eco, and the regen becomes a little less on the power, aiding for better acceleration and better deceleration. Also, this thing has something called as B, that is the battery or the regen mode, where the regen is at its highest. So as soon as you take your foot off the accelerator, the car comes to a halt very quickly through regen. Now I cannot say that this can be a single foot pedal driving feature, but it certainly will help you charge up your battery very quickly in that mode. That is how the engine options is there on this car, and those are the gearbox options as well. Speaking of gearbox options, I never mentioned about the 5-speed manual or the 6-speed AT. Now again, those two are similar. You get a very light clutch on the manual gearbox, and you get a fairly smooth shifting 6-speed AT gearbox, as seen on the XL6 or other Maruti cars. There's not much difference in that, and it is a familiar feel indeed. Now let me speak about the other dynamics of the car. Now let me speak about the all grip variant that we experienced when we took the car off-road. It was a devised course from Maruti, where we took certain inclines and declines and tested its hill descent control, hill hold assist, and also how the chassis rigidity is through a lot of articulations. Now that course was certainly designed to suit this car, and it certainly did very well. The chassis is very rigid, and you can certainly take good angles of lean. Will it do hardcore off-roading? I would say no. I will never take it for hardcore off-roading. I would rather do mild to medium off-roading. It can certainly handle, but if you are planning to do much of off-roading when you take the all grip, I would recommend you to first change the tires, because these Apollo tires are just not suited to do much of off-roading. It is a on-road tire and it is biased towards that, so you will have to get a new pair of tire when you want to take this SUV off-road. And speaking of the suspension, it is tad bit on the softer side and would have liked a little more stiffer setup, especially with this strong hybrid variant with that battery pack. It could soak up high speed potholes or bumps a lot smoother if it was set up slightly on the stiffer side. But that being said, the ride is plush if you're on smooth road, and even if you're traveling on rough roads as well, it can soak up most bumps and potholes. Only if you go at speeds you'll feel the thud when it comes through the cabin. And also, speaking about a body roll, there is a little amount of body roll, this being a large SUV and a tall SUV, and with the softer suspension setup you will expect that, but it is not so bad. That is because the seat, what you see right here, it will hold you at place and it will help you do very good cornering, and you can carry a lot more amounts of speed. Where I feel it could have been a little more is also the steering wheel. The steering wheel could have been much more well weighed or a little direct. Sometimes it do feel vague and feels disconnected, but this is something that Maruti has to work on. If they do, they could probably give it a slightly better weighted steering, especially at triple digit speeds. But if you're in city speeds and going at narrow roads or something, the lighter steering comes into play and it'll make your driving a breeze. Now also, as I mentioned, let me speak about the brakes. Now this gets all four disc brakes at 4 corners. It is quite good. The braking is done very good. It needs a little more initial bite, but the progression is good. You get a good braking power as and when you progress through the brake pedal. The travel is also not that long. You get good amount of braking power at shorter pedal travel. And speaking of pedals, you get a dead pedal on this. The dead pedal is placed a little too inside. I would have liked it to be a little more broader, so that I could keep the foot closer to the brake pedals. They could have made it a little more broader, is what I feel. So that is how this car drives. Now this was a very short drive. We could experience all the variants, but we had very limited time with all the variants that we have driven. I hope you guys got an overview of how this car drives. If you have any questions regard to how this car drives, or even anything regard to the strong hybrid powertrain, I have explained a little more in the Toyota Hyryder review. You can go watch that, or drop your questions in the comments and I'm going to reply to you guys immediately when you post the question. So that was our take on the Maruti Suzuki's all new Grand Vitara for the 2022. Now, as I mentioned, this is Maruti Suzuki's first attempt at the strong hybrid powertrain. Now they have collaborated with Toyota for this. Maruti Suzuki is now ready to take on their South Korean rivals such as the Hyundai Creta and the Kia Seltos, along with the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder being another competitor for this car. Now, what would you choose if you wanted to buy the all new Grand Vitara? Would you go with its heritage of being an all-wheel drive car back in the days, where with a ruggedness that was found on the old Grand Vitara, or you would want to choose the new Grand Vitara, where you would still go behind the fuel efficiency and get maximum out of it, as Maruti claims 27 kmpl fuel efficiency for this car? Mention them in the comments below. Also, like and share this video, and do subscribe to Drive Spark if you haven't done it already. This is Bharadwaj signing off. Stay safe and drive safe.
Push it to the limit, can't go no more. Red light, no way, I'm coming back home. Long dirt road, all on my own. I'ma be the greatest, write my name in stone. Write my name in stone. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Write my name in stone, 'cause I'm coming back home.